By active listening, I mean listening practice where children are actively involved, not just listening passively. This generally means using stories, songs, and videos interactively, or integrating games into the listening practice. Integration. I think integration is a key word when looking at how to make listening activities effective. Integrating listening activities with the rest of a lesson, not just doing isolated listening activities. And, when appropriate, integrating listening with speaking, reading, and writing. There are, of course, exceptions to this, such as when a teacher reads an engaging story to the children in installments, as a storytime session. The ultimate form of integration is for the teacher to use English throughout a lesson, so that the children are getting constant, authentic listening practice. Authenticity. Listening practice needs to be as authentic and meaningful to the children as possible. By authentic, I don't mean the content needs to be about real-life situations. Fantasy is often more authentic to children. I mean it needs to connect with the children in a meaningful way and capture their interest and imagination. Stories and songs and activities before, during, or after any kind of listening practice also need to be as engaging as possible. I think we always need to step inside the children's world and look at things from their perspective. For example, listening to a British shopping dialogue might seem authentic and useful to a British teacher, but probably doesn't feel authentic at all to a child learning English in Thailand. Types of listening. Listening is often separated into extensive listening and intensive listening. I will also add my own personal approach that I have found to be very effective, which is a kind of extensive listening with an important difference, and I'll call it advanced listening. Extensive listening. Children listen to a lot of material, such as an audiobook. The material is at a level they are comfortable with, which means at or below their English level. They listen for pleasure and listen for meaning. They often don't have language tasks or need to focus on specific words or phrases when listening. This kind of listening is invaluable for developing general English ability, widening and deepening listening skills, and for helping children produce English more naturally. For it to work well, the children need to listen to material that they are interested in. Advanced listening. This is a personal approach that I have used for years and found to be very effective. I give the parents audio recordings and ask them to play them in the background while the children are doing something else. The most effective place to play the recordings is in the car. I ask the parents to play them without expecting the children to study them. The recordings are of songs and fun dialogues that aim at language that has either already been introduced to the children in class or will be introduced during the school year. So even at the very beginning of the year, they are listening to language targets from later in the year. This means that when I introduce a language target in class, they have already been exposed to it in a song or dialogue. This has a very positive effect on the children's sense for new language and ability to use it more naturally. There is a big difference between the children who have been exposed to new language targets through advanced listening and those who have not. It is also possible to do this kind of advanced listening in class, such as by having songs in the background when the children are playing games. Intensive listening. This is when the children listen carefully to the teacher or a recording and may focus on grammar, vocabulary, phonics, or pronunciation. This kind of listening practice is also used for listening for the gist of a recording. As with extensive listening, it is also best for intensive listening materials to be comprehensible, but intensive listening materials tend to be more at the cutting edge of the children's English ability. Listening to the teacher or to a recording. Is it better for the children to listen to the teacher or listen to a recording? One advantage of listening to a recording is, of course, that the children can do it when the teacher is not there. They can also listen to the same thing many times. Another advantage is that the children can listen to different voices, both male and female, young and old, and different accents. There are clear benefits from listening to different voices. For example, it has been found that children learn to perceive and produce sounds more accurately, and, in general, learn a language sound system more deeply if exposed to a variety of voices when hearing the sounds. On the other hand, extensive research with younger children and some research with older children has also shown that children learn to discriminate sounds and generally learn languages better when listening to a human rather than to audio or video. But this seems to be, at least to some extent and probably mainly, because of the lack of interaction rather than because of the recording itself. If the listening activity is more interactive, children learn more effectively. A key advantage of listening to a teacher is that the teacher can interact with the children more easily and can monitor the children's interest and comprehension and make adjustments by speeding up or slowing down, repeating or emphasizing words, or using gestures and body language. So, if we do use recordings, it is important to make listening activities as interactive as possible. In the classroom, this may often mean using videos rather than just audio, especially short videos that can be repeated a number of times, and doing engaging activities before, during, and after the listening practice. Actually, it is a good idea to use these kinds of activities whether the children are listening to a recording or to the teacher. This series of videos is primarily focused on teaching English in a classroom situation, and in the classroom, it is more common to focus on intensive listening than extensive or advanced listening. So, in the next 3 videos, I will focus on how to make intensive listening practice interactive in the classroom.